You're listening to Zap Night, a video game review podcast. Join your hosts as we review video games from all systems and all genres. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Zap Night. I'm your host, Danny.
I'm your co-host, Kaylie.
This is episode 56, and we are talking about Luigi's Mansion.
Woo.
Things are weird because I'm on the wrong side. So, this is really a spooky episode.
Spookers.
We are recording this on Halloween, by the way, so happy Halloween to those who are watching this tomorrow or beyond.
It snowed today.
It did snow. Yeah, it's crazy. We have I don't know, they were talking 5 inches of snow or something like that.
I thought it was only 2, but
well, I mean,
still,
maybe this
snow.
morning it was 2.
True.
It's been snowing all day, so it's been nuts.
Merry Halloween, miss.
Yeah, right. I'm dreaming of a white Halloween. Sorry. So yeah, today we are talking about Luigi's Mansion.
The first one. Uno.
Yeah, the first one. And funny enough, Luigi's Mansion 3 came out today. I went and picked it up. I haven't played it yet. It's still sealed, but I will be playing it tonight, at least a little bit. This is the first time I've played Luigi's Mansion.
Same.
So it was kind of like this blind gameplay. And we put in 9 hours, I think. We spent two days together just trying to knock it out, trading the controller back and forth. And I don't know, I feel like we both put in a good effort. I don't think either one of us carried each other through it.
No, surprisingly, because I fully expected you to have to carry us both.
Well, it happens sometimes where maybe I'm really good at the platforming and you're really good at boss fighting or whatever. Where this one was we just traded back and forth
we
and
both
it worked
did
really
pretty
well.
good.
You did really good on the boss fight.
I don't know.
But I think it's because we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in gameplay. But it was the boss fight was challenging in not a normal challenging way. So Luigi Mansion was developed by Nintendo. It was released on the GameCube, and it was actually a launch title for the GameCube. So take that in consideration when we're talking about the graphics and the gameplay and some of these mechanics. Nintendo's coming right off of the Nintendo 64. This is the second generation of 3D platforming. So think about that when that was something that I was thinking about while I was scoring the game.
Sure.
Is that it's an older game, and I'm sure that the remake they did have a remake that came out in 2008 on the 3DS. That one's probably a lot different because it's on the 3DS. So the gameplay is probably a little bit better. The graphics might be a little bit better, and I'm sure that Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 are even better on top of that. So, this is the first Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube, original, everything's the exact way it was when it came out. So that's what we're reviewing today. It was released in September 2001 in Japan, and then it was released in November, and I'm guessing that probably was because it came out with the GameCube.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. I didn't look up the GameCube dates, but I'm sure they probably were pretty close.
Brandon told me that this was his first GameCube game, so I believe that he went out and got the GameCube, and this was
and you told us that last night, and that's what made me look to see if it was a launch title, which explains some of the quirkiness of the game, some of the control issues of the game, because it's early in the GameCube development, so I can understand that. Anyway, then after it was released in November 2001 in North America, it wasn't released worldwide until May 2002. And then, like I said, the 3DS version was released in October 2018, which was a remake or a re-release. I don't know if it's remastered in any way, but it's another way to get the game. They did make a Luigi's Mansion 2, which is Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, I think. And that was released as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, not Luigi's Mansion 2. Until it came out in I think Australia and somewhere else, and it came out as Luigi's Mansion 2. So, like, for some reason,
Right.
it wasn't called Luigi's Mansion 2 until later, so I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, then Luigi's Mansion 3 just came out today, October 31st, 2019. This episode doesn't air until the 1st, so, like, we're recording this a day before, but yeah, so still, it came out today.
Right.
So let's talk about the story. The booklet plays the story really well. I don't know if you want to read it word for word or if you just want to skim over it and talk about it.
Well,
however you feel.
Well, let's talk about it. So the game starts off, you're Luigi, and he's received this unexpected message that he's won this huge mansion. So naturally he gets excited and he calls his brother Mario and explains, meet me here, I've won this mansion.
So, sorry to interrupt already. They didn't explain this in the game. And it's like...
They acted like he won like a sweepstake. Yes, they kind of did. They didn't really explain the Mario part, though.
In the game, it was like... They kind of did, they kind of didn't. In the game, it was like... It started off with Luigi walking through the woods with a map of like a mansion that he won. And he's looking at the map, and then he comes across the mansion, and then he just like walks in. And it doesn't really specify the Mario stuff, though you kind of get hints of that later,
right.
that
It
Mario's there and that
itself.
He's missing. But you don't really understand that that's
what is happening.
The story. But the story is in the booklet. So like if you got this game brand new and you were playing it and reading through the booklet first, you would get the full story. And the full story makes a whole lot of sense when you're playing the game. Sorry, go ahead.
In any case, Luigi tried to follow the map to his new mansion, but it was night, it was dark, and he became helplessly lost in an eerie forest along the way. Finally, he came upon a gloomy mansion on the edge of the woods. According to the map, the mansion seemed to be the one Luigi was looking for. As soon as Luigi sets foot in the mansion, he started to feel nervous. Mario, who should have arrived first, was nowhere to be seen. Not only that, but there were ghosts inside the mansion.
Ooh.
Suddenly, a ghost lunged at Luigi. Mario, help me. That's when a strange old man with a vacuum cleaner on his back appeared out of nowhere. This strange fellow managed to rescue Luigi from the ghosts. Then two of them escaped. It just so happened that the old man, Professor Elvin Gadd, who lived near the house, was researching his favorite subject, ghosts. Luigi told Professor E. Gadd that his brother Mario was missing, so the professor decided to give Luigi two inventions that would help him search for his brother, which would be, like, his vacuum and all this stuff.
The Game Boy Horror.
Yeah, which was super cute, by the way.
And the Poltergust 3000. Yep.
Luigi's not exactly known for his bravery. Can he get rid of the prank-loving ghost to find Mario? I'm sorry, but I guess I never really acknowledged Luigi as fearful. Is that like a thing that's well known, really?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know much about Luigi.
I think that this game kind of established that for him, like in his personality trait. But I think he's always been this like scaredy cat sort of Mario bro. Like he's always needed his big brother Mario sort of thing. But to continue that story, so after you get the vacuum cleaner, you go back in and you start sucking up the ghosts, and you make your way through the mansion, and you find that King Boo has actually captured Mario in a painting. And all the ghosts that are in the mansion were originally from paintings that had escaped and are now in the mansion. So your job is to go and recapture the ghosts in the mansion, return them back into the paintings, and to free Mario. So you make your way through the mansion, capture all the ghosts, you confront King Boo, who he's the one who actually delivered the contest thing. Who
would actually believe that you want a mansion?
I know, right? And I think he even jokes about that in the game, that, I can't believe you'd be this gullible, sort of thing. But he actually devised this whole plan on capturing the Mario Bros. And when you confront him, when you make your way to
The final
King Boo, the final boss, he controls a like Bowser puppet and attacks Luigi, and Luigi like blows his head off
Yeah,
of the puppet, and then sucks up Boo from
because Boo comes coming out of the head hole.
The head hole. The puppet hole.
I will say, I kind of felt like he was because I didn't connect it till we started playing, but like I thought first I was very confused, like
why
but you could kind of tell because he does these animations where he's holding his head and
like
kinda,
twisting it,
trying to adjust
he's adjusting it.
Yeah.
Well, then after you blow off his head a couple times, it like pops on like upside down, and he's like running around with his head like backwards. It's just it's fun. It's an interesting. It was
a cute game.
It's an interesting play. But story wise, there really isn't much to it. I mean, there's enough to give you a reason for doing what you're doing, which is really, in my opinion, enough. I mean, especially for a Mario game, it's just like... I was
just about to say that, like, when you consider some of the Mario games out there is story, but there really isn't story. Yeah. There's a theme, there's a reason, you're here, and, you know, it's a quick game, and it's got a simple, quick story for it, so I thought that was good. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I gave it a 7 also. I thought that was a fair score. Like, it's not this huge in-depth story. Like, Luigi isn't making any like personal progress, but it's like I kind of feel like the 9 hours that it took us to play the game was kind of more like real world Luigi hours. Like, he showed up at the mansion, and in those 9 hours of real time, he has made his way through the mansion and saved Mario. Like, I felt like that was a fair, like, if I was to go to the mansion, I would spend 9 hours saving my brother. Like, I would just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I felt like that it fit. Like, all the story elements really fit together pretty well. Without it being too in-depth. So let's just move on to graphics. Like, there's not much stuff. We did the story. It's good. Let's move on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Graphics. Let me hear your score. I'm more curious about that.
I gave it an 8.
Okay, I gave it a 9.
Because, you know, there was a lot of stuff.
There was a lot of
stuff you could suck up. There was a lot of the money animation, like the paper flowing. That was really satisfying to see. Little stuff like the way Luigi kind of walks when he's scared versus when he's okay, and like his nose like would wobble. That was so cute to me.
His running, like the way he ran, bothered me, and the slow pace that he went bothered me. That's was more gameplay, but like that bugged me how slow he went. But everything, the animation was really smooth. There wasn't any issues. Like, we didn't notice any graphical issues. There was like one wall that was a little like weirdly glistening.
Yeah.
But I mean, that wasn't a big deal. And I think that's why I gave it such a high score. Like, I felt like the graphics weren't amazing, but as I was like thinking about it and critically going over it, I'm like, but there wasn't anything like bad about it.
I was trying to think of it. I remember thinking about this while we were playing, and this is when I had the GameCube, all I really remember playing was Animal Crossing, and Animal Crossing kind of has its own style, and I was sitting there thinking, this is just a style, I guess. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, the way it was didn't really bother me. Like, it was outdated graphics, but it's not.
I mean, you consider early GameCube 2001? I mean, that's really good.
It was really good. And it was satisfying seeing these go suck up into the vacuum, and I mean, there was a lot of animations, a lot of like stuff. There's just a lot of stuff, really detail put into these rooms.
Yeah, the fire and the ice and the water looked really good. The fire really had a lot of movement to it, and it was almost too fluffy for me. It was more like dusty fire.
Yeah, well,
but I mean, it was really satisfying. The dust animation looked really good. Like, as you're vacuuming stuff, dust is like coming out of the woodwork, literally, and like being sucked into the vacuum.
Even stuff that you can't even vacuum up will like shake.
Yeah.
It kind of bothered me because when you would open up a door, you it was either locked or you unlocked it or you went through it. Anyway, they focused in on the doorknob, which was fine for like some of these, but it was like they zoom in on this very specific spot on the door, and there's like all of this detail. It's like, why would you put
this big Luigi hand comes in and reaches and grabs the doorknob and twists the door and pulls it open. It's like a weird cutscene. It's really bizarre.
It's like, why would you put so much detail on this like doorknob and part of the door? Like, the first time would have been fine, but the other times was just.
Luckily, you can skip it, so it's like not a big deal. You don't have to sit there every single door you open. You have to sit there and do that. But yeah, it is kind of funny. It is weird that's there.
What'd you give it?
I give it a 9. I think I said that already for graphics. Yeah, I mean, the outside stuff looked really good. The lightning strike looked really good. I really have no complaints. Like, graphically, it looked like a great game. It wasn't like
the best.
There wasn't anything that was mind blowing.
Yeah, nothing like
there was a few things that were like really good, but nothing that was just like, oh my gosh, this is a 10. Now there is a subject in here that I gave a 10 that blew my mind, but graphics just it was up there, so it's like it definitely deserved a 9, but like a 10.
I will say there were like a room or two that I felt like could have, like the outside of like the balcony, like outside up top, like there's this huge space, and they've put like it was for a boss fight, to be fair, so they really wanted it open, I think. But
you're talking about like the roof, space.
It was just kind of blah, Like
even the boss fight was
it was
the like final boss against Bowser. Like Bowser looked really good, but like the stage that you're on is just the roof of the house. Like there was nothing special about it. There was no like the background had like a fiery like generic background. Like there wasn't anything extraordinary about it. It was just like the rest of the boss fights in the game. There was 4 other boss fights or something like that.
Yeah.
And like all of them kind of followed the same rule set. Like you find the boss, you get sucked into the like boss level, you fight the boss, and then you go back, and it's like the same. Like you're in an arena, there's this generic like swirly background, and that's it.
On the flip side though, like the mansion is the main focal point of this game, and they nailed it as far as the rooms are
absolutely
concerned.
And it's huge. It's a huge mansion. And the fact that they put all those rooms in there, and every room had its own theme, and
they named each of these rooms, by the way. But the room where there's like a fire and like it's kind of like a study, I thought that one was really
the library room.
Yeah, that one was really good to me, and like the basement was really well done.
The basement was really cool. The attic was really cool.
Yeah, they did really good.
The room that stood out to me the most was probably the like. There was a few rooms with like a big mirror.
Yeah,
and the mirror like the mirror effect was really cool because it was almost like it wasn't like a perfect mirror. It was almost like a 2D look. So when you're looking in the mirror, you can see Luigi, but he's really flat.
Yeah.
And it just kind of gives you that like difference. Like that's a mirror. That's not, another room. It's a completely different, it's a mirror. It's flat. I don't know. It was neat.
Speaking of the mirrors, they had this kind of cool animation where you could warp to the very start, and the mirror like it spins upside down, and then it does this like animation. It's kind of more like glitchy, computerized than like spooky. But
I think that it's because you're going through the Game Boy that
maybe.
You're like teleporting through the Game Boy to the other area. So yeah, it kind of is this like digital like.
But it was really satisfying. I really liked it.
It was fun. I remember the first time we did it, and it was just like, what is going on? Where are we going? Yeah. Yeah. Again, nothing that I could complain about, but like nothing that was amazing over the top. So that's, I don't know.
Now something we can complain about.
Yeah.
Gameplay.
We'll talk about gameplay. I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6.
So, in my opinion, the gameplay overall was pretty solid. Like the
Once you learned it,
the mechanics that you used worked. And the room, like the level designs were really good. The layout and like the way you have to do like treasure hunting, so to speak, where you're basically going from room to room looking for stuff.
That's fun.
It looks really cool. It's a lot of fun to try and figure out like what to do in each room. But there are some mechanics that work, but are really wonky on trying to get right. Like the biggest problem I think we had was the like controls.
Yeah.
And there's like a C-stick control, but it's like before the like dual analog stick controls where like you have full control of the camera. And I don't know if we're fighting the camera or if it's really the controls that we're fighting, but like more than once I would be like moving the vacuum cleaner around, but I'm going the wrong way.
Yes.
Or I'm like, I flip open my vacuum cleaner, I'm staring at the ceiling. Like, there's no reason for that.
I think in this it would have been helpful to just automatically lock on, even if it's not like permanently, but like if you see an enemy, you just lock automatically onto an enemy. Or offer inverted controls, because that really would have helped me.
I think that would have helped me a lot too, especially the vacuum cleaner. Like, I feel like if the vacuum cleaner controls were inverted, I would have been perfectly fine. But yeah, it did seem like
there were several times where I remember telling you, I'm like, I'm so slow with the C stick because I'm trying to orient myself.
There was a different control scheme, but I didn't know what it was.
You already learned most of the controls by then.
We would have had to have completely relearned the controls to figure out what was different. So, I mean, maybe the other control scheme, probably the book says it, but maybe the other scheme, the controls would be inverted, and maybe that would have helped us a lot. I don't really know. But the controls as standard were kind of tough.
Yeah.
I'm just now thinking of this, but kind of going into back to graphics a little bit. When the ghosts are flying around, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell exactly where they are in the room. Like, you can't tell, like, depth.
It was frustrating.
So it was like you're moving, like, back and forth, like, that dimension in the room, like the depth dimension, and trying to figure out where the ghost is in the room.
Well, and
it's like you can't figure it out because you can't move the camera.
The camera's not even fast enough and those ghosts are fast. Like, they made them fast.
Luigi's not even fast
enough.
Yeah,
Luigi's really slow. Yes.
I had trouble too with, I wish that Luigi could like turn backwards walk, turn around.
He could if you had his vacuum on.
He could, but like you had to turn the vacuum.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you turn on your vacuum or flashlight, you have to use the C-stick to turn all the way around. But otherwise, as soon as you open up the vacuum and the flashlight, it's in whichever position that you're running. Which makes sense, physics. Like, that makes sense, but like in a like situation where if I was actually being chased by a ghost and I had a vacuum cleaner, I would probably be moving away from the ghost and turn around and pull out my vacuum, as opposed to like pull it out in front of me and then turn all the way around. I mean, I get it, it's a game, but like still, that made it difficult when I was running away from ghosts that are chasing me very quickly, and I have to completely turn all the way around in order to fight it.
This is what I mean by the automatic adjusting lock. Because if you have a flashlight, you're automatically. It's not like you're aiming a weapon or. I mean, you are with your vacuum, but like even if it's just your flashlight, like yourself, just aiming because it's just a flashlight.
Yeah. I think that would have... It does lock on a little bit.
Sometimes.
I've noticed that, like, if you're in the general vicinity, it'll will, like, adjust for you just a little bit. Think of it this way. The game is pretty easy as it is. If it was that way, it would have been way too easy.
I suppose. I'm not asking them to stay locked onto the ghost. if I could just not point at the ceiling.
Like, to get an initial direction.
Yes,
that would have been nice. Especially, like, the King Boo fight was kind of tough because you didn't know where he was.
Yes, you couldn't determine how the depth is.
So, like, yeah, you pull out your vacuum cleaner to start sucking them up, and you don't know if you're going, back further or up towards the camera.
Was very difficult.
You don't really know. And that made it tough. I mean, I'm sure with practice, if you played this game 100 times, of course, it's a cakewalk. But from a first-time point of view, it was kind of weird.
I hated the running around the mansion, like, roundabout. You couldn't just go to the 3rd floor. You had to take this complete roundabout way, and they didn't even unlock the doors to unlock. I don't even think they did.
They didn't in our playthrough. There was a door there that was locked that would have made our trip a lot easier, but I didn't know where the key was.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that we could have spent a lot more time trying to figure it out, or we just go all the way around the mansion trying to get to the 3rd floor.
But how many times was like, you're on the 3rd floor, now go to the 1st floor, now go to the 3rd floor.
Way
Which
too many
is
times.
fine if you're going to the 1st floor from the 3rd floor because you can warp with that mirror.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go all the way, and the mirror only warps one way.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this kind of when we were playing it together. It seemed more like that they were doing it to prolong the game than it was to just... It just would have been considerate.
Yeah, I think that
it definitely felt that way.
They could have made it more puzzly in a different way. Like, there was a lot of this, like, okay, now you've opened a door, but that door's in the basement, and you're on the 3rd floor or higher or whatever. So now you got to make your way through the maze, or you teleport to the 1st floor and then you make your way to the basement, which was fine. But then when you're in the basement, it's like, oh, now you got a key for the 3rd floor again.
Yes, which has happened a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really know a good fix other than better puzzle design. I would have liked to have seen more puzzles, period. Like, there was a few, like, fun little things where it's like you have to activate certain
and that
certain
was fun.
elements in a room in a certain order in order to activate the ghost, which that was neat. But I would have liked to have seen more of that. I think that if Luigi's Mansion would have been geared a little more towards the puzzle side than just, like, a fishing game, I think it would have been better. So to talk about the fishing game, I was talking about this while we were playing, but Luigi's Mansion is kind of just like a reskinned fishing simulator. Like, okay, if you've played the game, think about it. Your vacuum cleaner is the fishing rod. The vacuum suction is your line.
Right, yeah, line, yeah.
So you are like casting your suction out and you're pulling it back in, and all you have that's your only mechanic is to, like, suck up the ghost and keep reeling it in and reeling it in and reeling it in until that number hits 0, and then you can suck it all the way in.
Right.
And that's exactly what a fishing game is. Like, that's exactly what a fishing game is.
About,
Like, you cast your line out, you catch a fish, and you reel it in until the fish gives up, and then you reel it all the way in. Like, it's the same concept. I prefer this game over a fishing game, by the way.
Well, I mean, they tried to make it a little different. Like, you had to have your the flashlight.
I think your problem was you weren't close enough to the ghost when you hit him with the flashlight.
But then you were telling me it was too far away, and then there was too close, and then it wasn't enough, and then it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And they didn't explain it the best.
And
when they would, the professor talks to you throughout the whole thing. It was becoming annoying after a while. It's like you'd take 2 steps and he'd have to tell you something else, and then you'd something else and something else.
It was activated by the booze. But
and not even just that. The very beginning, it was very frustrating.
Yeah, it was.
I will say, though, they offered a lot of opportunities for saving, which was good, because we died a couple times. Not a whole lot. But...
And there was a few times that we had to backtrack a little bit because we were stupid and didn't save the game.
It would have been nice if hearts could have been just a tiny bit more obtainable.
That was probably the worst part about this game. It was really easy to lose hearts and not very easy to find them again. There was a few, like, key spots that you could, like, hunt down to find a big heart container, but that was like it.
Yeah.
Like you find the itty bitty hearts, and they only did like what 10 health.
10, yeah, it was just 10.
So yeah, it was a little bit challenging. The big hearts did 50, so if you found 2 of those, you had full health right away. But you have to know where to look for those.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.
I just had to, I know that again it's an older game. It just I realize now that I'm older that I really benefit from inverted controls.
Yeah.
And of course back then there wasn't that option as much. But
It was a new concept.
yeah.
And I get that. And really, again, I'm not saying that the game's bad.
Right.
The core gameplay mechanics work really well, and it's a fun game. Like, I had a really good time playing this game.
We did get a little frustrated at times.
There was a lot of the gameplay mechanics that didn't work too, or could have been a lot better, or less frustrating, and it probably would have made the game more fun.
That boss fight.
And that was probably the worst of it, was the final boss fight.
I had a harder time with those freaking paintings when they threw a whole bunch of ghosts at you. The boss fight, I don't know why.
I was pretty good at fighting the ghosts, where you were pretty good at the boss fight. And it was like the ghosts for me, I don't know if I just had a system down or what, but I got the ghosts just fine. But like I went to the boss fight and like, okay, so the final boss, I know you've already played this game, so hopefully I'm not spoiling it for you. But anyway, the final boss, you're sucking up the
like
Bowser
bombs.
like throws these like spiky bombs at you, and you're supposed to suck them up with the vacuum cleaner and then shoot them back at him when his head is down so that you knock off his head. Well, the vacuum cleaner doesn't lock on to the spiky balls hardly at all. So you spend
like
too much time you spend too much time like rotating around the spiky ball trying to get the vacuum cleaner to lock onto it, and it was so infuriating when you understand how to beat the boss, but you just can't get the controls to work with you. And that was what made it so frustrating. That honestly, that probably knocked my score down at least like 1 or 2 notches, just because that opened my eyes to how the gameplay mechanic could have been a lot better. Because up until that point, I was having a great time, and then the boss fight hit, and I'm like, this is BS.
We were also very tired, to be fair.
I understand, but like still though, like it just, you shouldn't have when you understand how to fight the boss, you should just be able to beat him, not have to putz around with, well, I gotta figure out where the spiky ball is so that I gotta vacuum it up right. It was annoying. There was no reason for it to be that annoying other than crappy gameplay mechanics.
I mean, I didn't have a problem.
I know, and I don't know how. I mean, you must have just had a good strategy on picking up that spiky ball.
Because I was very focused on trying to stay as straight as as parallel with Bowser as I could, and that might have helped a little bit. But I don't know. You found a system and it worked.
It wasn't though, because when. Like, I understood that, like, you want Bowser to be, like, right in the middle, so that when he threw the balls, they would, like, kind of end up right in the middle.
Yeah.
But even then, like, they would end up in front of me, and I would walk up to them, and if you got too close, you got hit. But, like, if you didn't get close enough, the vacuum cleaner wouldn't suck it up. So it was, like, this terrible scenario, and you did it great, so I don't know what you did.
They had something was giving off hearts, and I never got them.
It was the pillars.
Once or twice, I think you're right.
I think when Bowser like would run over the pillars, they would break and leave the hearts behind, and I think that's what you were supposed to do, was collect those.
I see. Well,
but man, if Bowser sucked Luigi in,
did a lot of damage.
It did like 25 damage, which is a quarter of your health, because it did like 15 when he actually ate you. And then he'd spit you back up and throw fire on you, and that was like another 10. So it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was like you had to avoid his like inhale move as best you could.
I think the biggest problem I had was just not being able to see Boo to suck him up, because it just wouldn't lock to start the initial sucking. The sucking of his soul.
Yeah, and I had that problem too. Like, you would get King Boo out, and then you just have no idea where he's at.
He finally got him out, and then... Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to talk about the Boo boss fight, too.
Oh, yeah.
The multi-Boo. Like, okay, so there's this area, like, on one of the upper floors where you're on a balcony, and you have to fight, like, 20 Boos. And they all, like, conform into one big Boo, and you have to hit them on these, like, unicorn statues so that they break up, but then you have to freeze the Boos so that you can suck them up. That all worked pretty well. Until I got to the last Boo, and this could have just been me, that maybe if I'd have done it again, it would have been fine, but... I was left with one Boo and like 40 health. By the time I finally got that last Boo, I had one health left.
Thankfully, they saved it on 1 health.
Because, like, the Boo just kept, like, flying around, and the camera was, like, super zoomed into Luigi. So, like, I couldn't even...
He was flying off of the platform!
I couldn't find him! And when I did find him, he would just fly away, which is a great strategy if Boo wants to stay alive. But, I mean, if I was the last Boo, I would just leave. Like, I'd be like, well, no, I'm not gonna stay. Everyone else is dead, so, I mean, I'm leaving.
I mean, they all are dead.
I guess. When you put it that way, yeah, you're right. Oh, man. But yeah, that was
pretty bad.
That was a really frustrating.
It was really funny, though.
It was just frustrating. I don't think it had any... I think it was just, like, the AI or, like, the...
It was the circumstance, it was you, and yes, it was just...
Like, the way that the game was, like, controlling the Boo, like, it just was wonky.
He did his job well.
He did, yeah. Very frustrating. I almost died. I couldn't believe when I heard that ping from the ice. I'm like, where is he?
When you finally got him,
he like came from nowhere too. Like I was somewhere else, and like ping. Like I don't know if time like elapsed to a certain point where they just drop dead. I don't know.
This has been going on for long enough.
It was crazy. It was so bad.
So yeah. Gameplay.
Yeah.
Kind of a sore subject.
I mean, I still give it a decent score. I mean, anything over a 5 is okay. I mean, if you're giving gameplay like a 4 or lower,
that's bad.
It's really bad. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, this was just inconvenient.
Yeah, that's really the worst of it. But it was enough to, like, when you're playing a game for only 9-10 hours and a lot of that is spent kind of in frustration fighting controls, that's not very good. But again, maybe the newer ones, I'm excited to play the new ones because I love this like concept, so I'm hoping the newer games will play a little bit better. So yeah, I hope so. So let's move on to music.
8.
10.
What?
Yes.
10?
I gave it a 10. I had 0 complaints about the music or sound effects or anything. It was perfect all the way through. Apparently you thought different, which is fine.
It's kind of like you said. It wasn't for me. I wasn't blown away. I really did though. I loved the like quirky sound effects, like Luigi humming and
Mario.
Oh my gosh! So they have these purple mushrooms that if it hits you or whatever, you shrink
small,
and it's so cute.
It's really funny.
Voice. You know, I missed opportunity, by the way. They could have allowed the vacuum to still suck, because the vacuum was tiny too. You could have been dusting. It would have been so cute. This little dust.
Yeah. These like micro dust particles like rolling around.
It would have been really cute. But yeah, the whistling, the Mario, like stuff like that was really charming.
Great. The main theme of Luigi's Mansion is all sung by Luigi.
Yeah,
like that's
true.
Genius. That is so smart. I loved everything.
I mean, I still gave it an 8.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was great. I'm not saying I wasn't blown away.
I was completely blown away. Like, just the sound effects of all, like, the cricketiness of walking through the mansion, the fire and all the sound effects sounded really good. The vacuum cleaner sounded really good and clean. And
it was cleaning.
The paper on the walls had like everything just, it was wonderful.
Oh my gosh, those bathrooms looked hideous.
They did.
They had like toilet
really
paper and it was like,
Yeah, I mean, I can't praise the sound effects enough. The music in general, just, it was wonderful.
Yeah. It's funny because it's the same music. I mean, besides for like boss battles and stuff like that, but like the tune in the background is constant, and it's the only thing you hear. But it's not like it was repetitive, but not in a bad way.
It was repetitive in the way that it was the same theme, but like, because of how they portrayed it with Luigi singing it, it made it fun. Like, okay, so if you've already cleared an area and the lights are turned on, Luigi will whistle the theme. Yeah. But if you still have some ghosts in the room, or if it's like a hallway that you visit a lot, but like there's no like ghosts immediately in the area, he'll just kind of like hum it like casually. If there are a bunch of ghosts in the room, he'll either be silent or he'll kind of like mumble it a little bit, like shakily, like hum it.
It's walk all funny.
It's so awesome.
This was a really cute game.
So cute.
I wish
so many fun
we had played this maybe earlier on, like in our lives. It would have been.
Yeah, I really feel like it was a missed. I can't believe it's taken us this long to have played this game.
I thought it was a stupid idea when it first came out. But I mean, I don't like spooky things or anything. But this wasn't even scary, but it was like, it was fine.
The scariest part of this game was probably the butler.
Yeah, that guy was really creepy.
He was really like, creepy looking.
Cliche freaky.
And he had this huge head, and he's carrying around the like candelabra, and like, just, I don't know, the way he looked.
His head would like vibrate.
Yeah, he was kind of glitchy and weird. Yeah, he was just creepy. But yeah, that was probably the scariest part.
My point is like, it wasn't like too scary for like a kid. Like
it's still Mario.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about as scary as a Mario game, like in the like haunted like houses.
The ghost house.
Like, they're not any different. It's just like has a spooky theme, but like it's in the most like cartoonish sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. Overall, I gave it a 9 out of 10 for overall gameplay.
I gave it a 7, but I think I want to change it to a 9. I don't know why I even put it. I kept rescoring this as we were talking, and it was like, but this really was good. It wasn't that bad, and I think I'm gonna bump it up to a 9 as well.
I mean,
I agree.
When you really think about the game overall, like, what was the worst part about it? Like, was it just like the controls?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
yeah, that was
how impact. I guess for you, how impactful was that in your experience of the game? Like, did it deter from the game to the point where you were kind of wanting to rage quit, or was it just like a nuisance?
I can see past me not wanting to play after a certain point. But like the boss fight, even despite the mechanics, like I knew I could do this, and I kind of get deterred really easily like that.
That's how I felt about the final boss too. Like, I knew after enough repetition, I'd eventually figure out that exact spot to pick up those bombs. And I was getting the hang of it, but you were so much better that I'm just like, just beat it. Like, let's just get this over with. It was going on like 4 a.m.
It was 4 a.m.
And it's like, you know what? I just want to have this game done. Like, there's still so much more. There's so much more that we didn't finish in the game too.
We got enough.
Well, there was a lot that was still unexplored. There was a lot of rooms that still needed unlocked. There was...
This game would have been overall an amazing game if we weren't sitting there trying to blow through it. If we had just been able to enjoy our time doing it. Because we were sitting down intending to beat it within 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
And so
that might have been our downfall,
and, I think that is a good reason for me to bump up my score, I think. Because I think if I had time to enjoy this, really take my time, yes. So I've changed it to a 9. Which means that puts my score at a 30... I think, a 38 out of 50, which would bring us to what yours,
and mine is a 42 out of 50.
which brings us to an 80 out of 100.
Ooh, what is that?
I believe that's a B minus.
That's a B minus.
It's a B.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's fair. I really could see where Luigi's Mansion 2 and Luigi's Mansion 3 playing on the same themes and the same concept would just bring it to that next level. I really think that this could be an amazing game, and I'm so excited to open up Luigi's Mansion 3 and see what it's like. Not sponsored. This is just us. This is our raw opinion.
Like Nintendo would sponsor us.
I'm not saying that you should go out and buy it, but I mean, if you like Luigi's Mansion, you're probably here because you probably have already bought it. You've already bought the game, haven't you? So yeah, I don't know.
I definitely think you should try it if you haven't.
Yeah, if you haven't given it a shot,
it'd be nice for something for your kids even.
Watch some gameplay online so that you get an idea of what the feel is of the game. You're not going to get a overall feeling of gameplay mechanics. But, I mean, I think the fishing, at least for this game, I don't know about the other games, but, this game specifically, it's really a fishing simulator. The more I thought about it, the more it fits. It just, you're just fishing for ghosts with a vacuum cleaner. Makes total sense.
Egad.
Oh yeah, and
there's a lot of puns in there with their names, the ghost names.
His sound effect was really funny too. He kind of, I don't know. It was weird. It kind of sounded like somebody trying to make Asian
dialects of some
sounds. Yeah, it was weird. It was very strange. Anyway, that's it for Luigi's Mansion. I can't think of anything else to talk about. Our next podcast episode is going to be on the 15th, and right now that's scheduled to be Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
Officially, unofficially, Metal Gear Solid. That is, of course, as long as me and Brandon both beat the game. Kaylie's husband, Brandon, is going to be on the podcast next episode, so we will be welcoming him back.
He's more interesting than me.
The last time he was on was when we did...
Super Mario 3?
No, he was on Super Mario 3, but he also did Super Metroid with us, too.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a great episode. I love Super Metroid.
That was our first day. Right?
First
plus
what?
Or first perfect.
Oh, yeah. I think, well, it wasn't we haven't had a perfect game yet, but I think it was one of the first days. Yeah, we haven't had a perfect game yet. I'm waiting for that perfect. Probably Final Fantasy VII.
Which is coming up soon.
Yeah, I know. Probably, I would say maybe the first of the year. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Anyway, we're going to end the episode there. Thank you all so much for listening and watching this podcast episode. If you like us, let us know. Leave us a review on iTunes so that we have something to talk about on our Zap Chats episode, which is where we just sit down and have a chat. We also review iTunes episodes there, which is why I'm asking you to review us.
Even if you don't like us.
Yeah, I mean, let us know, and we'll still read it and have a good laugh over your hatred towards us. That would be fine.
I mean, same, really.
We could just read negative reviews in general.
Send them in.
No, but if you review us on another podcast episode or another podcast platform, email us and let us know so that I can pull it and read it. iTunes is a nice spot to focus on and read from, but again, any podcast app, just let us know and we'll read it on Zap Chats. So yeah, again, thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.